Here's a question. Is the world sane? Is the cosmos sane? Are human beings sane? Really? You don't think we're all a little bit or a lot crazy? Look at the world about you. What part of it do you actually think sane? The automaton that you see everywhere? Wars that you hear about on the news? The shower of shitfest that we have for political parties? And every single thing that we hear is contradicted somewhere else. People have this fictionary idea that there's truth in the world. And I'm always telling you, how bizarre is that? I've personally never found it. You know, other than something really silly and rudimentary. Oh, it's true that I've got this hairband in my hand. You know, I'm talking about real fundamental truth. Is the human being physical? Is the world physical? Is there actually anything as fundamental truth? Is there any such thing as truth which travels? I mean, are scientific truths of today going to be true tomorrow? Because in the past they haven't been. And, you know, when we've got scientific constants, well, you know, there's been a whole myriad of those so-called constants which are not so constant, to be fair, people. And so I'm always saying, and people don't want to take this on board, they're too fear-based. They just want structure. They want something to be so. They want the world to be real. They want themselves to be real. They want God to be real and Jesus to be real and all this stuff. Well, even if you look at Jesus, not a single ounce of proof that even if he did live, that he lives today, and he's the Son of God, and he's God, and he loves you, and come on, people, you think that's sane? No. It's clearly not sane, is it? It's absolutely fucking insane. All these ridiculous fucking beliefs and fantasies throughout religion, spirituality, science and fucking philosophy, whatever, or wherever you want to look at it. It's not sane at all. The thing is about it, you know, if it was sane, if the world was sane, if the human being was sane, then you would have thought we could agree on something now and again. But as it is, who actually agrees? Who actually agrees on anything? Look, we've got parties on this side, we've got parties on that side. And you would think that, well, because they're in the same party, then they agree with each other. Well, if you look a little bit closely, then you'll discover that not a single one actually agrees with the next one. Over and around many policies and subjects and ideologies and this, that and the other. Everybody has got their own idea about the world. Why? Because they live in their own world. And I'm saying it and saying it and saying it. Can't get any mileage with you people. Can't get any mileage. I'm too fucking advanced. Vastly too advanced, it appears. Nobody can even state, yeah, I get where you're coming from, here, there and everywhere. Nothing ever. And so the only comments I do really get are some people saying like, well, I don't comment because to be fair, you know, I don't know what you're talking about. You know, I grew up on gaming and I watch your videos because I think they're interesting, but I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's about it, people. That's about the length and breadth of it. Now then, I'm going to read you a comment now because it's very topical, and I can elaborate and speak more expansively on this subject. So this comment states, in relation to one of my baby squirrel videos, weird that you happily eat tortured animals, yet you care about this one. It's like a veterinarian who eats animals. Absolute insanity. Well, first and foremost, I ask you the question. Who told you that the world was sane? Who actually told you that the world is sane and human beings are sane and we've got a very deep and rich handle on what it is to be a human being and what the world is and what the cosmos is? No, they won't tell you that. They'll say, well, I mean, there's instances of insanity everywhere you look. I mean, what could we really say about sane? If we have a sane person, what really does that mean? What criteria does a person have to be labelled as sane? Believing in God? Believing in scientism? Believing that they are a physical entity? What part of being sane would they have to have an adherence to? And if believing that they're a physical entity is a prerequisite to being sane, well, I'm clearly insane. And so are millions of other people. And so people, you know, it's the height of ignorance, stupidity and naivety to even mention sanity. You know, sanity. I mean, sanity means cleanliness, doesn't it? To be sane, then you're supposed to be compos mentis, and you're supposed to be very reasonable, and this, that and the other. And then if you are insane, well, you're crazy. But doesn't being insane mean that you're insanity? And if you're insanity, then you must be sane. But no, so we've got a complete contradiction. We've got something which just doesn't make any sense to us. If we are insane, then we're crazy. But if we're sane, then we're not crazy. No. You just look at the words and you go, fucking hell, who invented this shit? Was it purposely designed to just befuddle us and just make us ultimately give up? Just give up. Words mean words mean words mean words mean words. We go round and round and round, we end up eating our own fucking tails. Words just mean other words, and we start off on love and it'll go all the way round to hate. It will actually mean hate at some stage, and then it'll come back to meaning love, and then you go, well, love and hate, then they mean the same thing then, don't they really? You know, people. You know, because if you look at love and hate, you go, no, they're polar opposites. Aaron, they really are. Well, don't you think it's more like they're two sides of the same coin? And if they're two sides of the same coin, then it's the same fucking coin, really, isn't it? Isn't it a fine line between love and hate? Where do people draw the line between love and hate? It's a very, very foggy, misty arena, isn't it? No, people. Love and hate, they're just projections onto something. You know, I've often sort of used the analogy of it. I've like having one of these old disco balls, you know, with 1,000 facets of mirror, and when the light shines on them, some of you older people will know what I'm speaking about. Others, you won't even know what a disco is. So 1,000 facets, and when the light shines on this ball, then it scatters in a whole array of directions, and it gives a different image and a different reflection of the light and this, that and the other. Yeah, well, that's what's going on with the human being. We're supposedly in receipt of the same information, and yet we interpret it very, very differently. And this is why you've got political parties, and the American political system is a good analogy to use. You've got the left, which is supposed to be more community inspired, more socialist and more forgiving and more liberal and all that. Now it's the left that's calling for death to everyone and anyone who doesn't agree with them. And so, well, what part of liberalism is that? And then on the right, at this moment in time, you've got Pam Bondi, who's calling for very, very severe sentences for people who are vocalising their opinions, which could be deemed to be hate speech. And it's a very difficult arena, that hate speech. I'm going to speak about that more. But so, well, I mean, it wasn't too long ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, that the Republicans were calling the Liberals for, you know, calling out for all this hate speech and this, that and the other, and now the Republicans are doing exactly the same. So it's just a shit fest. They're just throwing shit at each other. And, you know, they're pretending that they have different idealisms and different policies and a different structure to their actual individuated governments. But when you look at it really, it's just two wings of the same bird, isn't it? And even though some of these people who are on the left and on the right may absolutely 1,000,000,000% believe that they are in a particular party and it's got nothing to do with the other, and they indeed do hate the others, but then someone standing off from a distance looking at the two parties go, hang on, they look very much the muchness to me. And if you go a little bit higher, you can see the actual body which is animating the wings. And so you got the reds and the blues, the left and the right, Democrats and Republicans, and there are wings on a bird. It's the same fucking bird. And so people can't see this. That's sane? Is that what you would call sanity? It seems absolutely insane to me that the so-called Homo sapiens, the intelligent hominid, can't even see what's going on there. They can't see the wood from the fucking trees because they're all fucking pea-brains, automaton, and embroiled in insanity, literally. Now, I answered to this guy. Let me just read it again. Weird that you happily eat tortured animals. Well, I mean, tortured, really? So what, they're hung, drawn and quartered and, I don't know, red hot poker stuffed up their anuses, you know, as a method to kill them? Or are they just bang with a bolt and it's all over? They're just herded in. Yeah, well, yeah, I think you're getting a bit carried away with your own emotions, to be fair, and your fantasy of what the world is like. So it's weird that you happily eat tortured animals, yet you care about this one. It's like a veterinarian who eats animals. Absolutely insanity. Well, I wouldn't doubt that there are, you know, thousands, if not millions, of vets who do eat animals. I go on to explain why I eat animals, and yet I still care and love for some animals. So, I say, who misinformed you that the world was sane? Who the fuck told you that? And what stroke of insanity has led you to believe that? Have you not got fucking eyes in your head? Have you not got ears? Have you not got years and years of adult experience, and yet you think the world's sane? You think it's insanity because somebody does something outside of your cognition, when you can't even think straight, evidently. Bear with me on this, mate. I mean, I think you've been around for a long time. I'm not purposely insulting you, I'm just looking at your logic. So, I say, who misinformed you that the world was sane? People do crazy ass shit every day of their lives. Nothing makes sense in this dimension. Who popped off Charlie Kirk, for instance? You know, and if you just tell me, oh, is that Robinson guy? You need to stop watching CNN. You really do, and you need to start listening to other people. It's going to be one of those mysteries that nobody will ever get to the bottom of again, because nobody can get to the bottom of anything. Why? Because we all live in our own worlds. There's not just one world where things happen, people. There's a billion gazillion different worlds, and we're all kind of like looking at a disco ball from a different perspective, and we all think we see the disco ball. I see the disco ball. I see the disco ball. Do we not all see the disco ball? Yes. Well, the disco ball. We see a disco ball. I mean, and the reason why I'm saying a disco ball is because you're standing over there on the opposite side of where I'm standing, and I see this disco ball from the opposite side to what you see it. And so my side, I mean, it's not the same as yours, is it? It's like saying the dark side of the moon is the same as the side that we see. Well, it's not, is it? It's the opposite side. And so you could say, yeah, well, it's the same moon. Well, then we have to start looking into the philosophical idea of what the same is. And then from whose perspective is something the same. So like I say, if you're in a disco and you think that that's the same disco ball, well, you're getting light coming into your retina and you're seeing the whole disco only in your way. Nobody else in the whole disco is seeing that disco like you do. So how can we ever say that we're in the same disco? It's only just an inference, people. We're just having an inference because it makes us more comfortable, but there isn't a single one of us actually that's in the same disco as far as our cognition is concerned, as far as our consciousness is concerned, as far as our senses are concerned. We are all in our own fucking disco. So we're all in our own world, and yet this is too out there. This is too intelligent. This just needs an extra, a vastly extra capacity of consciousness before people can start to get their heads around that. Because they're not philosophical thinkers. They're just thinking, oh, you're just talking stupid. If I go in a disco and my mate said, "Where the fucking damn disco, Aaron?" No, we're not, people. We're not. Who can believe a single word anyone says about anything? Can you believe a single word anyone says about anything? Well, like what? Tell me what? Tell me what? Yeah, tell me 2 and 2 equals 4. Tell that to the fucking headhunters in Papua New Guinea. And they'll go, what are you fucking talking about? Fuck off. So it's just your indoctrination. That's what it is. It's your indoctrination. It's your belief. There is no fucking general consensus, which is fundamental. They're just ideas, people. All ideas in your mind. I eat animals I have no conscious affinity with. Cows, pigs, sheep, chickens and fish. I love to care for animals that are not served to me in a packet. I care for animals I find out in nature who need assistance. There's nothing insane about that. That is a rational choice premised on many variables. So just because I eat meat, then I shouldn't love and care for an animal in need, or I shouldn't love and care for other animals. So if I don't love a dirty stinking cow in the field, then I shouldn't love my dog, I shouldn't love my cat, I shouldn't love my parakeet. What sort of level of insanity are you coming from, bro? It's ridiculous, isn't it? And this is why the world is in such a fucking state, because people like you don't know how to think critically. And it's all emotion, and doubtless now you'll have a flurry of emotion and then you'll unsubscribe and fuck off, whatever. Is it me? It's not me. I'm here, I've been doing this for 17 fucking years. And I'm a rational, logical, reasonable thinking person, and you can have a debate with me and I'll look at things from as many facets as is possible, and if you introduce some more facets then I'll consider those as well. I'm not going to be going like a stupid little brat spitting its fucking dummy out. So this bro, this is what I'm always fucking, you know, rallying against. This level of ignorance and stupidity. It's very leftist, it's very liberalist, and I suppose, you know, you are leaning in that camp. And if you're not leaning in that camp, then one would have thought that you are a little bit more rational, because the right wing tend to be much more rational, and the left wing tend to be very emotional, don't they? They don't actually have arguments about anything. It's just all emotion. That's what it's premised on. And then when they get confronted with someone who can place a good argument before them, they just fall to pieces and end up screaming and rushing to the nearest salon to get their hair dyed blue or purple or orange, just to make them feel, I don't know, like they've got a little bit of control in the world. Yeah. This new Charlie Kirk thing, it's a very, very, very big deal. It's a very big deal in the world because it came at the right time, in the right country, involving the right people to bring about massive change. because of all the implications involved in that. That somebody from the left killed somebody from the right. It's as big as the Kennedy shooting. Look at the funeral. Look at all the people involved. Look at everybody speaking about it. Look at the conniving, the lying, the distrust again, once again. Hang on, the shooter jumps off the roof with a dismantled gun in the bag. And he's obviously being hunted by police and he's got to get rid of the gun as quick as possible. So what does he do? He reassembles the gun before he hides it in a bush. Really? Would that be the first thing on your mind? Or would it be like, just like find the nearest wheelie dustbin and fucking just bury it in there, or shove it under a fucking bunch of leaves or something? You're not going to be reassembling the gun again, are you? You're really not. And so, you know, there's a whole myriad of things which are so wrong with this, as is everything. And guaranteed that the truth will never be found. And I'm speaking and I'm thinking like this, people. And this will, you know, give you reason to think that I'm insane, because you could never get your heads around this. But if you, by a stroke of genius, could get your heads around this, a stroke of genius, people, stroke of genius. If you could get your heads around this, then please put something down in the comments and let me know at least one other person in the world is in agreement with me. What I'm saying is this. I'm saying that I know there is no one world. And I can absolutely prove that there's no one world. And it's very, very simple and easy to do, because all we have to do is ask each other, can we think another person's thoughts? Can we share another person's consciousness? And the answer is an emphatic no. So, then we ask a question, what do you perceive the world with? And then we go, our consciousness. Okay, so everybody has their own consciousness. And everybody sees a world pertaining to their consciousness. Right? Yes? Are we all in agreement so far? Yes. Well, who the fuck is to say that there is one world actually there and we all see it exactly the same? Well, we know absolutely that we do not see anything exactly the same. If I held up my hand in front of you like this now, and I ask you to try to memorize what you actually see and embed it in your mind and then describe it back to me, and I ask everyone to do this, what am I going to get? I'm going to get the general consensus. Aaron held up his right hand and it's got 4 fingers and a thumb and blah blah blah. That's it. But then when I ask you to look into the minutiae and the details like that, it's going to get very, very vague again, isn't it? And so if I told you to look at that tapestry behind, okay, look at it for a whole fucking hour. Look at it and study it in the finest of details and try to absorb what you can from it. And then start to discuss what you saw from that picture along with 100 other people. Write it down, get them interviewed, and then see if we can actually say that all those people were looking at the exact same picture. None of them would say that. None of them, absolutely none of them, would have the exact same details. In actual fact, the vast majority would be wildly different from everybody else. Why is that? That's because our perception is individuated. Our consciousness is individuated. Our store of information which we are going to be measuring that against, and we're going to be using the information we've had before to help us to decipher the information that we're seeing now. Well, if you come from different cultures and you're different ages and you've had different experiences, well, this thing that you are depending on to help you to understand what you're looking at is going to be vastly different, and so therefore it's going to be giving you a vastly different picture. Do any of you get your heads around this? The reason why we can't find any truth, did anybody really land on the moon? Who the fuck shot JFK, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X? What actually is going on in the world in relation to the powers that be? Does anybody know? Has anybody really got anything other than just a faint idea of what's going on? Where's the power coming down from? Who are the puppeteers? Who are the puppet masters? How actually does it all work? Where are we going? Surely you would think out of 8.5 billion people we'd have a very good idea where the world's going. When in actual fact nobody has a fucking clue. Oh, they can, could be this and cool. Well, you know, the variables, yeah, exactly. The variables are too vast. And so nobody could ever even predict a financial meltdown. Nobody's ever managed to do that, ever. Nobody's ever managed to predict a war, nothing like that. You know, sure, people are predicting this and predicting that all the time. Who's getting it right? Nobody. Nobody, people. And so you've got the biggest brains on the planet, this, that and the other, and they can't even work out how the fuck to resolve a war in any given country. They're just kind of like... It's ridiculous, people. So please, don't anybody be speaking to me about sanity, insanity, and being sane. I don't believe in any of those concepts more than the next. We're in a festering, bubbling cesspool of chaos. Chaos. That's all it is, just chaos. And the only thing remotely which is ever going to give you any semblance of order is if you project that through your fantasy onto the world. And most people, what they'll do is they'll lay claim to their sovereignty, and you know, they will have beliefs, and they form certain things within their cognition that they're adamant about, and then they stick to that without questioning, querying or dissecting or anything like that. Yes, I'm a leftist, I'm a liberalist, I'm a trans, I'm a fucking Republican, whatever, all that. But at the end of the day, you're none of those things. They're just ideas. They're all ideas, people. Even you being a body and a human, just an idea. And so we can break these ideas down into a gazillion other ideas. Just starting with animal, primate, flesh, skin, bones, cells, and all the rest of the stuff that's going on. You know, what are we? Who are we? Has there been anyone on the world that's ever known that? Anyone that's come close? No, nobody. Even collectively, we're not even coming close, because how many of us deny that we are spiritual beings, that there is in actual fact no physical matter, and yet you can enter into states of consciousness where there is no physical matter, there's no human being, there's nothing that you ever even recognise about this world. And yet you don't accept that. You don't accept that, well, if there's so many myriad different ways of consciousness experiencing the world or something, well, how can we really depend on this one? Well, we can't, people, that's the thing. Anyway, I've said enough, and of course I'll expect 0 fucking comments as usual, because I'm speaking to you from clearly another dimension. Lord, let me just say this, by the way, just to finish off, just so I know, you know, I know where you're coming from. All these people that don't want to get engaged when I'm saying it is absolutely going to happen, you will have an identity card, a digital identity card. That will come first. Then you will have a digital chip, or your DNA will be stored in a database, and you'll be recognised with your retina or your thumbprint or something like that. They're going to take your bio readings and they're going to amalgamate them with AI. That is absolutely, without any shadow of a doubt, going to happen. And those of you that don't want to listen to that, don't want to comment on that, don't want to engage on that, you are in absolute 1 billion% denial, because you are terrified of the fucking fucking reality. And you don't even want to lend yourself to thinking about it, because if you thought about it for too long, then you would know that it absolutely is going to be a reality. And even this week, Keir Starmer is plotting as to when he's going to be announcing to the public of Great Britain that it will be compulsory to have a digital identification. Now, if that doesn't happen because he's not popular and you know, people rebel against him and call for his resignation, well, it'll happen when fucking Nigel Farage gets into power. It'll happen, you know, when President Trump's gone and somebody else in. It's gonna happen because it absolutely has to happen, because AI is encompassing the whole world, and AI can't do what AI does without that being a thing. AI is going to need our biometrics to be able to quantify any fucking thing that is gonna help humanity at all. It's gonna need the details. That's what AI does, people. It needs the fucking details. Do you think AI is just going to be quantifying the nature of the universe without quantifying the human being? Like we're separate from the fucking universe? That is insanity. And any of you that think that are fucking insane. But don't worry about it, because you're not alone. Have a great day.